Hello and welcome to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here with a quick guide on how to play Korea. So, Korea is quite the exciting little nation in the far east of Asia. They have one of the easier starts in the game. In fact, played correctly, they have one of the easiest games. Big reason comes from the fact they are a tributary of the Ming, who of course will protect them unless they collapse or you rebel against them. Although the Protectorate demands become painful later on, early on they're your best defense, specifically against the Japanese, and to some degree against the Hordes. Usually Jianzhou over here will not become a tributary state, which is of course where you wish to expand, but it means anyone who attacks you has to deal with the Ming. So first off, there's a decision you want to take pretty much immediately as Korea, which is found Hall of Worthies, giving you 0.5 yearly prestige for the rest of the game. It's just worth taking. Other things to note, Korea has a negative 10% construction cost and domestic trade power plus 25%. This allows you to construct more buildings and retain more control in the Nippon trade node, which, by the way, is the same trade node as Japan is in, but at least you have one center of trade. So even if Japan fully unites, you'll still be getting some trade from them. You start off with the most possible from them, and it's worth trying to maintain control of it, because that way you'll benefit from all the Japanese production and stuff. You can of course steer trade to them, which is worth it early on. So other ideas Korea has. They have one of the better ones. They have -5 tech cost, which is something you want to hit upon pretty early, and maybe even chain it with innovations ideas for -15% tech cost. But -10 stability, plus 10 production, 5% durability, 10% manpower, -10% idea, 10% tax, and then a finishing of 10% infantry combat ability. Overall, a pretty solid idea tree. There's no real particular standouts other than the early 5% cheaper tech cost. Not the strongest idea group, but definitely not a weak one. In terms of missions, Korea has the default ones currently, and then has a couple missions essentially conquering some of the hordes up there, which will take a while, but we'll build them up. And if you do get it all, you get the 3 Koreas reunited. So apparently the 3rd Korea is actually located up there where the purple outline is, which is interesting because I didn't know that. So first things first, as Korea, well, your biggest strength and your simultaneously biggest annoyance will be your tributary status with the Ming, which I don't recommend you cancel because they'll destroy you. But your first target needs to be the Nomadic Hordes to your north. Now, while you can beat them around level 1 or 2, you're better off, in my opinion, waiting till you hit about tech level 5. Because beyond that, your infantry units start to be able to beat the Nomadic Hordes, or steppe nomads, I still call it Nomadic Hordes, cavalry strengths. So it might be worth waiting for a while and building up. Luckily, you have a very defensive border right here. Lots of mountains, and you have a fort on a mountain, which means if you are attacked by any of the steppe nomads, they'll be trying to siege a mountainous fort where their cavalry will have virtually no impact, and you can fight them head on. Of course, it's also important to notice that the AI is really bad when noticing that they can have cavalry and will actually have infantry, which if you've hit a high level of tech first, you should be easily able to defeat. So, you do start off in the standard level 3 tech. You start off in the you do start off with feudalism. You will not be getting Renaissance. You'll not be getting colonial, printing press. The first institutions you'll be able to fight for are global trade, manufacturers, or enlightenment, unless you do something really weird and try and colonize first, which is doable, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. As Korea, there are in fact 2 achievements for playing as Korea. There's the Chosen One, or it's like the Chosen One. Essentially control all Confucius, Shinto, and I believe it's offhand Buddhist. I can't remember offhand. Provinces in the world, which is not hard considering Confucius and Shinto are literally Japan and China and Korea. Of course, a little bit of the hordes, but Buddhism takes a bit more work. The other one is turtles all the way down, have 125% ship durability. That's to historically represent the Korean turtle ships, which were arguably the first Ironside ships in the world. You do get 5% durability from your ideas, but if you want to hit the higher ship durability, you're going to have to invest your way down, specifically the naval tree. And then if you combine the naval tree with, let me see, which one is it? If you combine it with humanist ideas, you could get another 5 ship durability. And if you take maritime ideas, which is, it doesn't actually directly benefit you, but if I remember, you can use it to, yes, with offensive ideas, you can get another 5 ship durability out of that. And I don't actually, not entirely sure how you get the last 5%, because this will get you 15, this will get you 5. So actually, that's how you do it. You get naval ideas. You take the naval ideas combined with the humanist ideas. You have to take naval ideas, humanist ideas, which you're going to want to take anyway because you're Confucius, and then maritime ideas with offensive ideas. Yes, and that will give you 125 ship durability, unless of course you get events or other stuff to benefit you. So, as Korea, your first expansion should be against the Hordes, and you have a very good opportunity to do so, considering the Hordes right up here are Confucius. So you can easily take them over without having too much religious troubles. It's also important to note that Korea is the other, considering there's only 2, the other starting Confucius nation in the game, which is Confucianism on its own is not particularly beneficial. The admin tech cost is really nice because we're going to want to get high in admin tech as Korea. But the big thing is the harmony mechanic, which otherwise, other than you, the Ming are the only ones to have and use. This is important because it means once you harmonize the religion, you don't have any trouble with that religion existing in your territory. You start out with Mahayana Buddhism as a harmonized religion, which gives you 7% idea cost, which actually, if you think about it, is pretty nice stacked with this for 17% or so. But it takes quite a while, and you have to own a religion in your territory in order to be able to do this. This is not a problem for the Confucian China because they have several religions in their borders and they can expand to it. You, on the other hand, the only 2 you're really looking at getting are Mahayana Buddhism and Tengrilism, I guess technically it is, which are both really good to synchronize. You can also get Shintoism, but for that you will have to invade Japan, which is something that you're probably not going to want to do unless some of the daimyos get independence or you're absolutely massive. But in terms of expansion as Korea, you're not going to have really any particular allies, although you can find allies in the world. You can get like Rikuyu on your side, and you can ally yourself to a couple of the steppe nomads, nomadic hordes up there, but overall you can survive pretty well without any allies because you're going to be defended by the Ming, but luckily you're not obligated to help them at all. This means the obvious areas for expansion are going north, taking this whole area. Specifically, if you can get up here to where Buriyata is and snag that wonderful gold mine they have up there, you'll be pretty well set. And since you're not a steppe nomadic horde, conquering and controlling the steppes are, although difficult, is fairly doable. And it's very easy as Korea to quickly swallow up this whole area and keep going west. If you keep going west, I recommend at some point you either take, well, the odds are you're going to probably want to take exploration ideas, but expansion ideas could work too, depending on how vision goes. And you're going to want to take them and pretty much straight colonize north until you hit the wastelands up here. And that will prevent Russia from hitting their monstrous size going east. So that's a pretty good goal to do. You have to do it by about 1550 if you help to cut Russia off from the land. After that point, they've usually expanded massively, assuming, of course, Muscovy forms Russia, which they usually do. In terms of idea groups, in terms of tech in general, I pretty much recommend that you focus admin. You have, I think, the 2nd or 3rd best ruler at the beginning of the game, King Sejong Do Yi. You have a terrible heir, so I would immediately, if you can, disinherit them once you get enough prestige to do so. Oddly enough, you start negative in prestige, which I don't even understand why that's the case. But this person with a 655 shock and industrious is really good. You have 6 years until the Renaissance spawns, and I would recommend that you use that time in hopes of getting to a national idea group. And then it's really up to you which you go for. If you're not going to try and cut off the Europeans from colonizing North America, which is doable but is very difficult, if you're going to try and cut them off, you want to go exploration ideas. You can in fact support enough of a fleet, and if you get there early enough, you can jump your way into Alaska and stuff and have a chance of spawning colonialism. It's very difficult. If you don't think you can do that, you've got a couple options. You can take defensive ideas, which I think are the best in terms of fighting the Nomadic Hordes, because morale is king early on. Plus the defensive and attrition is just nice, and the reduced attrition is also really nice because this land is pretty poor. Other things, and my personal favorite, is to take innovative ideas, which you really only take on the Italian nations, Milan and Florence, at the beginning of the game. I recommend taking it because once you hit the scientific revolution, not only is your tech cost decreased by 10% there, you also get some cheaper mercenaries and prestige and institution embracement costs, but it stacks nicely with your tech cost from your Hangul alphabet to get another 5%, so you've got 15 right there. And if you're dealing with admin, you get another 10% off due to being Confucius, which means you can have some pretty crazy reduced admin tech, which is lovely if you want to play really expansionist Korea, because you're going to be spending a lot coring land. If you do go expansionist Korea, you will definitely want to take admin ideas, get that another additional 10% off and the cheaper coring cost, and you will have so much admin tech points you won't know what you're doing with them. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Korea can get the most admin tech points out of any nation in the game. That in terms of that, you don't have to waste it on tech and other stuff. Just because of all the bonuses. This 5% tech cost is huge if used properly, and will allow Korea to stay ahead of tech compared to Asia. And even if you don't really go all out building, developing institutions, which I do recommend you do because Korea's got good land, you can stay on rough par with Europe and catch up relatively fast in tech. You are lucky in the fact that most of Korea is either farmlands or grasslands, except for a couple mountain provinces in the north and a couple hill provinces on the east of Korea, which means it's relatively easy to pop institutions because you're not having any increased development cost. And of course, that's very important. I recommend, if you can, developing your capital. Don't forget taking edicts to encourage development. In terms of other places to develop, the next best place in terms of per monarch point spent in terms of development efficiency is down here in your coastal center of trade and farmlands. It's very cheap. It might actually be cheaper starting, well, it's about as cheap as developing your capital is. Obviously your capital receives a benefit for natural development. You do start off with 130 development, which puts you relatively high up in terms of the world. Obviously, you won't be a great power while you're still a subject of the Ming. And in order to fight the Ming, you're going to want to be massive as well. You have 1/10 or so of their development. I recommend if you're going to fight the Ming, you get way ahead of time in tech and everything else. You can, of course, try and do the absolutely insane strategy with the Manchu, which is get so far ahead of time in military tech that you can take on the Ming and win, but that's rather difficult, seeing as the step hordes bonuses really consist of cavalry and other stuff, but it's very possible. So other than that, I recommend you either take innovative, exploration, or defensive, and then obviously once you've taken one in the category, go to the next ones. If you take innovative, it is very possible for you to either develop an institution or tech up just enough to get to exploration ideas and then start expanding as well. You won't be able to hit North America until you get at least colonial range and probably I don't exactly know the numbers right now, until you hit at least level 7 at Diplotech, which you get a huge rain boost. Level 9 will guarantee you can make it there. Obviously, you'll probably have to hop, skip, and jump across islands here until you reach the New World, but it is very possible to do that, even if you don't take it as your first idea group. If you don't want to go the colonialism route, which is actually not bad because you can easily expand down here as well. Kind of the same strategy as a United Japan's. I recommend taking defensive ideas, followed probably by, at that point, administrative ideas, because you're probably going to be want to be conquering the steppe nomads, gaining that wonderful negative 25% core creation cost. After that point, it really depends how your game is going. If you take humanist ideas, you will really be absurdly tolerant of everybody. Your idea cost by the time you get to there will be like negative 27% idea cost. Korea has a really strong tech game, which they did historically. In terms of Korean events, there's not too many of them. There's a couple nasty ones that will hurt your development, mainly purges of academics, but overall they're minor compared to some of the other disasters like War of the Roses. As far as I am aware, there are no actually special disasters for Korea other than the normal ones. It's actually one of the countries that probably could use a little bit more work on in terms of fleshing them out, because they had a very relatively rich history in terms of events, and it's fairly well documented. It's kind of like the Ming. So that's pretty much in terms of what you want to do is Korea. Either expand north, take on the hordes, stay a bit defensive for a while, hit innovative ideas. If you want to get turtles all the way down, take naval ideas followed by maritime ideas, followed by getting up to this far in the idea group, which you'll get anyway if you try and complete those. Then you have to take humanist and offensive. I don't know of any other specific naval durability idea groups, benefits from ideas or events. If you do know any of those, please put them below in the comments. It will help other people with them. But if you want to do that, you do have to take 4 specific tech groups for it. So I don't know if I would necessarily encourage you to try and get that achievement on like a massive Korea game. It might be one where you play literally just to get the achievement, but I'm sure you can work around it. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, quality ideas also gives you 5 ship durability as well, which means it's probably more beneficial to take that than maritime ideas. So you've got a choice: naval ideas followed by humanist, followed by either maritime offensive or just in general quality ideas. So that should be it for the Korea guide. Sorry, I'm a little bit fuzzy on my Korea details. I haven't played them immensely recently. Played them a while back. But they haven't changed that much, and you can have a very powerful tech game and expand relatively easily, protected by the Ming, who actually kind of like you a lot compared to their tributary states due to same religion. Just don't break your tributary status with the Ming until you're easily capable of fighting them one-on-one. Once you do, you've actually got a lot of land up here. If you've conquered it, to bleed them, stick forts up there. They'll send huge armies. The attrition is nasty. Plus, you can always blockade their coast. If you're going to invade Japan, you either got to wait till they're weakened or you're fully developed, or they launch an attack on you and you get the Ming to help you and you win that way. Anyhow, that's it for my Korea guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, comments, or anything else, please leave them below. If you enjoyed this and you like Europa in general, just subscribe. I do videos pretty much every day for Europa, and I do lots of guide videos. I've got a whole playlist of them you can check out. And if you've got any suggestions for other guides for either for achievements or for countries, please leave them below as well. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.